We're going to talk about Drew Lock first. And the question is, should the Broncos move forward with Drew Lock as their franchise quarterback? What do you think?
No. And I want to say that I want to say that with confidence, but I don't at the same time. Drew Lock, he's a young quarterback, young, exciting quarterback. You see why the Broncos like him. He has these games like, for example, the Chiefs, when they played the Chiefs the fourth quarter, you see why the Broncos like him. You see against the Chargers, you see that comeback. You see that he can lead an exciting offense when he puts his mind to it. And I feel like for the Broncos, when it comes to franchise quarterbacks, it's a wait and see process. You got to be patient. And I feel like if Denver can just be patient and it's going to be a lot of work with Drew Lock. It's going to be a lot of work. Mind you, not to mention he's missing his number one receiver, Cortland Sutton. He's out for the year. So it's going to be a lot of work, but you see glimpses of Drew Lock leading an exciting offense. And if you could just if you can just be patient and work, I think he can end up being the franchise quarterback for Denver.
My answer is it depends. And when we look at franchise quarterbacks, for me, I think you see it when you see it. Like, it should be kind of evident what we're seeing with Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow. Like, we know they're franchise quarterbacks. With Drew Lock, I'm leaning more towards him not being a franchise quarterback. I think he's a starter. He's a starter in the league. He can have some glimpses, but I don't think he's that guy to build around moving forward. But I say it depends because Drew Lock is actually in a great position right now, right? The Broncos aren't bad enough to pick a top quarterback in the draft, but they're not good enough for him to totally, be excluded from seeing if the Broncos want to move in a different direction. This is my reason for it, why it depends. If you get Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence, of course, it's a no-brainer.
I agree.
It's a no-brainer. You get rid of Drew Lock.
I agree.
But they're not going to have a top 5 pick. Right now, they have the 14th overall pick in the draft. Like, right now, that's where they stand. The two quarterbacks that they can maybe get in that range.
Trey Lance,
but I think Trey Lance might go top 10. If you can get Trey Lance, you get rid of Drew Lock, and you get Trey Lance. And a quarterback that's coming onto the scene as of late, from BYU, Zach Wilson. If you can get Zach Wilson, I'd move on from Drew Lock. And that's just me. The other quarterbacks in the draft, like Brock Purdy and Kyle Trask, I wouldn't, get rid of Drew Lock for them. But if it's for Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, or Trevor Lawrence, I do it in a heartbeat. Like Drew Lock has had flashes, but I mean, he's only averaging 194 yards per game. Like, he's not exceptional. He shows flashes. But he's just a guy to me. He's not a franchise quarterback. And I know people love his swagger and how he dances and his kind of charisma. But for me, he just doesn't show it consistently enough for me to be like, yeah, I'm confident in the Broncos moving in that direction.
I've never watched Zach Wilson play. Never really watched Trey Lance play. So I'm not going to sit here and say those are completely wrong. I agree with you. I've seen Justin Fields play. I've been high on him for about 2 years now. I even told you he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in his draft last year. I think if you can get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields, but they're not. I'm not going to sit here and say if you get Zach Wilson or Trey, because I've never seen him play, so I can't tell you that's wrong or right. But I will say, though, this is his first full year as a starter, Drew Lock, and you're right. He does show flashes. He's kind of inconsistent in a sense. So it's going to be tough for Denver because you're right. They're probably going to end up with top 10, between 10 and 15 in the draft. So it's going to be tough for them to figure out what they want to do. But I know his teammates believe in him. His coach somewhat believes in him. So I know going next year he will be the starter. So he has time to show that he is their franchise quarterback.
I mean, we'll see if next year's going to be the starter. You never know.
Who do you think? What do you mean next year?
If they could get, like I'm saying, if they can get a Trey Lance.
But you think they'll start Trey Lance right away?
I mean, yeah, I think he will come into the league better than Drew Lock.
Where is he from?
He's from North Dakota State. He went to the same college. Yeah, he went to the same college as Wentz.
I'm tuning into my boy. And where's Zach? You said Boston College?
BYU. Brigham Young University.
You didn't have to say
that. Nah, but yeah, I know. Like, I'm just not sold on Drew Lock. Like, I think he could be a good quarterback, but I feel like in this league, if you don't have a top 10 quarterback, you can't win consistently, or you can't really compete for Super Bowls or NFC Championship or AFC Championship appearances. And I just don't see that in Drew Lock. In a division where you have Mahomes,
Raiders is coming
you have
up.
Herbert, you have Derek Carr, who Derek Carr is like on the border of like a really good quarterback and just starter level.
You see it though. You see it with Derek Carr.
Right now, the Broncos have the worst quarterback in the division.
Mm-hmm.
So if they can't find that position, it's going to be really hard to compete with Herbert, Mahomes, or Derek Carr. And we know Mahomes and Herbert are going to be there for years.
Well, talking about Herbert, Drew Lock just beat him yesterday. Well, not yesterday. He just beat him last time. So we'll see, man.
I mean, he beat his defense. That defense is horrible.
Everybody said, he had to come back. Great game for my boy.